Woke up today, smile on my face. May not go my way, still got my faith, so I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
Welcome back to the Queen's Table. Today we're talking about the power of leadership and the communities we choose to be a part of. When leadership is rooted in purpose, awareness, and a true understanding of its influence, it creates a space where people feel seen, supported, and empowered. But when leadership lacks direction or misuses its power, it can break trust and leave people feeling unheard. In this episode, we're exploring what it means to be part of a community where leadership leads with intention, where power isn't about control, but about uplifting and guiding others. Let's talk about what that looks like, why it matters, and how we can seek out or even create those spaces for ourselves. Let's get into it.
That's it.
Queens, when I tell y'all this topic right here, let me explain something. In our society today, when we look at what's going on in our world around us in our communities. And it's a lot of messages out here, where people quietly quitting. They have jobs, they get paid and everything. Quietly quit meaning pretty much you go to work and you do the absolute bare minimum. Okay, that's what they're talking about. But for real community leaders, people who love the communities they serve, they can't quietly quit, because they understand when they give the bare minimum, the people that need it the most, they go without some things.
Absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So we have to understand as community leaders, like, listen, and this is why these spaces are important, because we don't want the community teachers, social workers, directors of nonprofit organizations, case managers. We don't want, when they quietly quit, where does that, when a teacher quietly quits,
Lord,
that's detrimental.
You understand?
Literally.
Where does that leave the community that they serve in? You understand? So that's why this is such an important topic, and I just want to kind of throw out and hear from the queens here at this table. What are some traits that y'all believe that makes an excellent community leader? Because let me tell you something. When and haven't we seen it, Jackie?
Yes.
One thing I'm gonna tell y'all, what I've learned working for the city of Philadelphia, I've learned what not to be as a community leader. Not what to be, what not to be, because of the leadership that I have observed for 9 years.
Well, let's first start with the fact that sometimes true leaders don't have a title. Because we have a whole bunch of directors and managers and deputy this and associate that and vice president that ain't leading a thing. So you can absolutely have a title that makes you a leader and you ain't leading a thing, right? And we see it all the time. We see it as organizations collapse. Leaders should be, I think for me, passionate.
Yes.
The true measure of, they say a true measure of any country is how they treat their children and how they treat their elderly. And it goes the same for leaders. When you're a leader, you don't need a title. We're going to see it in the work that you do.
Absolutely.
We are going to see it in the outcomes in the community. We're going to see people get better. We're going to see people thrive. We're going to see communities grow if you have true community leadership.
Exactly.
The reason we have so many communities in this city failing is because the leadership is failing.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And so for me, it has to be a passion and commitment. Sometimes I feel like leaders need to be able to ruffle some feathers. You got to call, I always say, You got to call a thing a thing.
You do. And I admire that about leaderships when they're bold and they address problems head on.
And we saw it in the civil rights movement. We saw people standing up and say, white, black, and otherwise, the way you are treating Black communities is wrong.
Right.
And it got them killed. And it got them beat. But they still said it, and we saw it in you. You called a thing, you reported things, and sometimes that makes you, that hurts you. And so we have to have leaders that have the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to call a thing, and wherever the chips fall, that's where they're going to fall.
Right. Exactly.
And the poor leaders, they don't see the wrong in their actions. They don't see the wrong in their actions because they surround themselves with people who normalize it.
Yes.
It's a culture.
Yes.
It's a culture.
Yes. You made me think, and I had on here self-awareness. It's sad, honestly, what I have watched working, in the department I work. And I don't understand how people can move in certain ways and they're not aware, or they don't see how they're impacting other people, or they don't see how their way of thinking is not conducive or does not create an environment where people feel safe and are able to grow. That just behooves me. You know what I'm saying? How you don't see that. And when you tell it to them, it's just like, it's almost like they learn leadership from the people that were leaders before them that were a mess. So it's just like this cycle, sort of repeats itself. No self-awareness, no compassion, no vision. I have worked in a department during this pandemic, working with a population, senior citizens that was most impacted by the pandemic. Never know, hey guys, how are y'all doing with this? Am I lying, Jackie?
Nope.
Never know, what do y'all need? How can y'all feel more supported? Never any of that. You understand? Like, and it's just, it made me just say to myself, and I, y'all, I still work for the city. They probably say, well, Queen, why you ain't quit?
Jackie won't let me.
Care about the community.
I say, Queen, I do. I love my job. Don't we, Jackie? We really
we
enjoy ourselves. We love the work we do.
Yes.
And it's like, but it's just, it's unbelievable. I was going somewhere, but it'll come back to me. But it's just truly unbelievable what we have watched be able to exist from leadership. It's just.
I feel like good leadership doesn't expect anything in return.
Absolutely.
I know for myself, having Pray Girl Pray, and I remember somebody said to me one time, you need to start having them sow into your life. Like the woman that was getting on my calls, you need to start having them sow into your life, sow into the ministry. I'm like, why? Like, what does that do? Like, I don't need that. I don't need somebody to give me money because we're all coming together.
Right.
We're just encouraging each other. We're just praying together. Why do I need somebody to sow into my life to be able to do that? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like leadership, can't always expect things in return, because I feel like once you start expecting things in return, I think that kind of start making it. But now if somebody says, hey, let me do something for you, or hey, let me bless you, you're being a blessing to me, or because I know y'all have like some of the seniors come in, hey, y'all, I just want to give you this.
Yes.
It's not because you're expecting that. You know what I'm saying? It's because you have impacted their life in some kind of way. So now they feel like they want to return the favor. So leadership, I don't feel like should be looking to get something out of the people that they're, leading.
I totally
I don't know.
agree.
Like,
Absolutely.
Leaders don't have to always have the answers.
Right.
That is one thing that
Jesus.
Thinking that you know it all. I've had some know it all, a know it all boss. I think being a true leader is understanding that we have to work together.
Yes.
Right.
That, there might not be something there might be something I don't know, but somebody that I supervise might know 'em. I feel like leaders, have no problem with asking for help and getting help and saying, this idea that, somebody that I supervise came up with. And I think it's a great idea and I think we should run with it. I think leaders feeling like they got to know everything and have their hand in everything. And I think that's problematic.
Yes.
And I think another problem that leaders make is I feel like in some organizations, they focus so much on what's broken and not enough on what's breaking it.
That is so true.
You know
That's
what I
good,
mean? Like,
Queen.
we can talk about the fact that, maybe we have limited staff. But why do we have limited staff? We might want to be so hyper focused on the high turnover. But why do we have this high turnover? Like, there are some things structurally that happen that cause problems, but folks don't want to focus on that.
No.
That's the hard work, is
Right.
dealing with the structural issues that cause the problems or the structural issues that are breaking things. And I don't feel like that happens enough from leadership as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I had down, integrity. One of the things, being able to be consistent and honest, trustworthy. One of the things, and this is the first job I worked at, working in this department, that I have observed leadership lie to the community. I mean, totally outright lie to the community. And I've saw it on a number in meetings, just tell something and I'm like, that's a lie. That's a lie. Jackie, am I telling the truth?
You are?
And it's just like, it's just, to me, so it just, people have to stop playing out here. Stop playing in these positions of leadership. And I'm hoping that maybe a leader that maybe didn't have a good example in their lives can listen to this episode and understand you're influencing people whether you understand how or not. You understand you're having an influence on them, but you, like that part right there, being, people could respect, if you're, I couldn't respect you no more when I started seeing you lie to the people.
Right.
I couldn't respect you anymore. And so you don't understand, as a leader, when you start lying and your people know that you're lying and you supervise them, you understand we didn't repeat that what they were doing, but we've watched other repeat certain characteristics. It's like they produce themselves.
Yeah. But you even called people out on their lies,
did.
and
I
they
most
continue
certainly
to
did.
lie.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And the cover-ups, ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. Courage. It takes courage to do the right thing.
Yeah, it does.
It takes courage, to stand up when things are going wrong and just say something. And that's also a quality of a good leader.
Courage when it's not comfortable.
When it's not comfortable, and I think for me, I didn't see when they put me at Jackie Sykes when I got transferred. I didn't want to be there, but at the end of the day, it's safe for me there. You know what I'm saying? And I think when we work in our communities and we love what we do have to look at, do I feel safe in the community that I'm working? Because if you don't feel safe, then there are some adjustments that may need to be made. You know what I'm saying? Because when you really are passionate about what you do and you're out here and you're working and you're moving and you're thrilled about what you do, you should want to be a part of something where you feel protected,
And
And you should be protected.
That part.
We have seen it so often, when I think about some of the most amazing leaders that have been a part of my life, who have shaped who I am, have stood on integrity, have been courageous, have been passionate, Ann Ricksecker at the Health Federation, Natalie Lekovich, Karen Coleman at Drexel, my current supervisor at Independence Blue Cross. Like, I've had the blessing to work with some amazing women and men that have not only been about the business, because I think as leaders, we have these metrics, right? We got to meet these goals, but have been about the growth and development of their staff, have been about being accountable when they've been wrong. Like, a leader that can say that they made a mistake and stand on it is that's so important to me. You have, when I think about some of the people that you have been interacting with through all this debacle at the city that have made insurmountable mistakes, like they have done some things that, because we all take compliance trainings, right?
Right.
About PHI and how to interact with systems. You have worked with some folks that have just went against all of that and have not owned up to it. Like, say, okay, I made a mistake. But people are so busy trying to protect their pensions.
Yes.
That they're willing to lie about anything and throw you under the bus while doing it.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And some of the stories that I've heard, like, sometimes I have to ask you to repeat yourself.
Yes,
because I don't even believe that.
She
What?
She wouldn't believe the stories.
I would not believe some of the things. And I think the crazy part about it is through all of all of the work that you've done and calling these folks to the carpet, not one time did anybody say it was a lie. So it's like, yeah, you said I did these things. Okay. And I did them. And what? Like, nobody has, I was waiting for you to say it. Like, so she's out here lying on me. No, these reports will be like, yeah, this is what she said, and this is what we're going to do to her for saying it.
Exactly.
Not that it was wrong, not that it was not untrue.
Information. Tell me that. Say, no, you're not. This is not right.
This is not
We investigated it. This wasn't, it's not true. No, none of that was done. No.
It's so, I just find that we have too many leaders that are in positions that shouldn't be.
Totally agree.
Yes.
And this whole
impacting the community
thing that organizations have with this seniority, some folks need to be taken down.
Right.
Yes.
I don't care if you've been here 112 years.
Yes.
You did A, B, and C. This is reported to us. You got to go.
That's right.
Because everybody, there are people looking for jobs. Like, we can replace you right now. But no, they keeping the same toxic folks. And you hit the nail on the head. This bad behavior goes to the next leader.
Yes, it does.
There's an organization that I've worked with, and one CEO, I think, was stealing money or embezzling or something. And the next CEO inherited the issues, but they never addressed it or fixed it. So now all of that is still happening. And then that CEO left. And the next CEO, like, nobody's fixing the problem. We just passing the bad behavior from one CEO to the next.
Right.
And at some point, somebody needs to say, yeah, how you're managing this project, how you're managing this department, how you're managing these people is wrong.
That's right.
And if I may say, grooming the next leader.
Yeah.
And growing them wrong.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep, exactly. And that's again, we wanna help support queens that are in these work environments. They love what they do. They don't want to quit. I tried. And the only reason, I'm just gonna be really honest in this moment, but the only reason I didn't quit at the time when it was the worst was because the physical issues that were taking place because of the extreme anxiety. I had tremors really bad. So I wouldn't even been able to interview nowhere. I would not have been. They would have been like, get her to the hospital. You know what I mean? I would not. I had to go to work because all my time ran out. I had really they wanted me out from work another 4 months, but I had to go back because I had no time. So it was just the whole thing was just a horrible situation. But Queens, we want to help you. That's the whole point of this. I don't want no queen going through these things alone, because I think suppressing it and not having a safe place where you can talk about it, process it. Yes, there's other help out there that, we're utilizing and getting support. But at the end of the day, your mental health is the most important thing. How you feel when you get off work. How do you feel when it's almost time for you to get up in the morning? Me and Jackie would go through that on Sunday nights. We can't sleep.
Because you got to go back.
We twisting and turning Sunday night when an email comes from these particular leaders. Before you even open an email, all your bells and sirens inside your body is ringing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you just start like
you're trembling.
And but we be like that. We would have to support each other and typing emails because it would take so much for us to just respond to things. So we have to calm each other down. Like, all right, take your time. Say such and such and such. So it was crazy. And no social worker, no teacher, no community leader, program director, nurse. Nobody should have to be working under these circumstances.
I don't care if you're a cashier at
exactly.
Driving a
all of those are communities. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nobody should have to work like that. And it's just like, I want to train community leaders one day. You know what I'm saying? I want to say, come sit down.
Yeah.
I want to observe you first and see what it look like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're walking into the workplace feeling sick.
Yes.
And then they're making it worse as the day progresses.
Yes.
Then they make it like it's your problem.
And they know
exactly.
it. And they know what they're doing. They're very aware of their tactics. They're very aware. I didn't know. I couldn't have said this a year ago. I would have said no.
You did say no to me. You have said no to me.
I did.
That wasn't.
Yes. Because
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You don't think people function like
that. You don't. Because she was going through it way longer than I was. I mean, you know what I'm saying? She really was. And it was just like, I know, I'm saying, I didn't think people really intentionally did that kind of stuff as leaders. To make somebody's life a living hell.
Just to go to work and try to earn a paycheck to raise their family. Provide for their family.
All right, Queens, we got to get better. We got to do, if you're a leader, Queens, we got to do better. We gotta assess our leadership styles. You know what I'm saying? We have to understand our influence, understand how we're impacting people.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Get help with that. Don't stop. Leaders shouldn't stop learning.
No.
Leaders should not stop learning.
And they have to take a look within.
And one thing about the department that I work in for the city of Philadelphia, they have no knowledge about supporting staff through mental health challenges. That was very clear. That was very, very, very clear. They never provided me with a safe space to just say, let's talk. Never. Am I, sis, never. You know what I'm saying? People need to be more equipped that in the event somebody's dealing with a mental health challenge on the job, come on, we got to bring them in. We got to get, support them. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even make me bring a note in saying, is she mentally right to come to work?
Right.
How about the fact that the way you left, the condition you left in, is the same condition you returned upon?
Yes, I did. That's so good. Yep, I did. They should have been like, no. They should have been like, and fought them the whole time while I was out, trying to get care through the union, trying to do it the right way through workplace trauma, it was a mess, y'all. But listen, y'all got it, y'all. We rise.
We rise.
Yes, we are.
We rising.
It's above us.
And we're going to help each other. This is how This is how the Queen's Table, this is a space where we're going to heal together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to grow together, and we're going to get through these things together.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
All right, and that's a wrap on today's conversation. Being part of a community where leadership understands its power and purpose can make all the difference in how we grow, heal, and thrive. True leadership isn't about control. It's about service, intention, and creating spaces where people feel seen and valued. As you move forward, think about the communities you're a part of. Do they uplift you? Do they align with your values? And if not, how can we start building and seeking out spaces that do so? If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, subscribe, obviously, leave a review, and connect with us on social media. Until next time, keep seeking, keep building, and keep standing in your power.
To me, I mean, no offense, I'm finding out jealousy, only a lack of confidence. Focused on me more, focused on you less. Everybody do that, look around and we blessed. Welcome today, smile on my face, may not go my way, still got my face, so I'll be okay.